Canada just made a move that changes everything in the trade war with Trump, and it's not what anyone expected. Prime Minister Mark Carney announced Friday that Canada is dropping many of its retaliatory tariffs on American goods. But before you call this surrender, you need to understand what just happened behind the scenes. This story starts with a phone call. After weeks of silence between the two leaders, Carney spoke with Trump Thursday in what the Canadian PM's office described as a productive and wide-ranging conversation.
Well, moments ago, we got word that Prime Minister Mark Carney spoke with U.S. President Donald Trump today. The CBC's Rafi Boudjikanian is following the developments for us from Ottawa and joins us now. So, Rafi, we read out that statement just a short time ago, but I'm hoping you can remind us of what it says and the broader context here.
Sure, Hillary. Of course, this is all happening as Canada continues to be in this trade war with the U.S. going for months now, essentially since Donald Trump took office. And I'll read out the statement to you. I don't think we have it for your screens yet, but here, let me just read it to you from my notes. It says, today, the Prime Minister Mark Carney had a productive and wide-ranging conversation with the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. The leaders discussed current trade challenges, opportunities, and shared priorities in a new economic and security relationship.
The discussion covered current trade challenges, opportunities, and shared priorities in a new economic and security relationship between Canada and the U.S. What came out of that call would reshape the entire trade relationship between these two nations. Carney's announcement came with a hockey metaphor that perfectly captures Canada's strategic shift.
They just made that official. 2 weeks ago, they just made that official with the executive order. So we're responding to that. It's obviously, in our judgment, the right thing to do so we can focus in on those strategic sectors exclusively and also be consistent with CUSMA, where there is going to be, CUSMA in a very different trade environment is going to look different. And what we need to do is to make sure we're focusing in areas that where it's the mutual benefits are very clear. So in other words, the arrangements in strategic sectors are mutually reinforcing. They're mutual benefits. So the agreement supports it, but the economics drives it. And that's the way we move forward. Thank you.
So we have time for two more questions. One will be English, one will be French. We'll start with Olivia Stefanovic from CBC.
Do you have any assurances from the Americans that this will kickstart negotiations? Did President Trump specifically say that in his conversation with you?
Yes.
And what do you say to premiers who have called for stronger retaliatory measures against the U.S.?
Yeah, let me say something general, and then I'll be more specific, which is that I want to salute the premiers, and particularly those, some provinces are affected more than others because of the sectoral nature of these tariffs. And I want to salute those premiers for the collaborative way we've been able to work together and the focus on the workers and the businesses themselves. And there's a combination of support for the workers and businesses, such as we provided in the steel sector, liquidity, capital, by Canadian, at the federal level, at the provincial level, across, and working in collaboration, for example, in steel, with the province of Ontario. In the end, what we all want is to make sure for those strategic sectors that they get fair access to the U.S. market. And what we're doing, again, is matching what the U.S. is doing. That's fair. It's fair to match what they've done. And it puts us in a better position to focus in on exactly those sectors, work for it. So sometimes, to go back to the early...
There is a time in a game, he explained, when you go hard in the corners, elbows up. But there's also a time in a game where you want the puck. You want a stick handle. You want to pass. You want to put the puck in the net.
Business over the years, over 25, 30 years, especially during the Biden years. They took a lot of our business, and it's basically all coming back into the United States now. We're hot as a pistol, and it's coming back in. Because of tariffs and the incentives we give, it's coming back. And it's impossible, I think, for another country to stop it. And we are working on something. We want to be very good to Canada. I like Carney a lot. I think he's a good...
Canada is dropping many of its retaliatory tariffs to match U.S. tariff exemptions for goods covered under the United States-Mexico-Canada Trade Pact. But here's the crucial detail everyone's missing. This isn't capitulation. This is strategic chess. To understand why this matters, we need to rewind to how we got here. Back in March, Canada imposed 25% tariffs on a long list of American goods, including oranges, alcohol, clothing and shoes, motorcycles, and cosmetics. This was Canada's response to Trump's aggressive tariff policies that targeted Canadian exports. But Trump wasn't done. In July, Trump announced he would raise tariffs on Canada to 35% and said the rise of fentanyl and Canada's unwillingness to work with the U.S. affected his decision. The fentanyl excuse? Let's put that in perspective. A total of 43 pounds of the drug was seized at the northern border during 2024, with an additional 58 pounds having been confiscated there so far this year, according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection. That's practically nothing compared to what comes through the southern border. So what changed Trump's tone? After months of escalating tensions, something remarkable happened in that Thursday phone call. Trump's response in the Oval Office was surprisingly positive. "We want to be very good to Canada," Trump said. "I like Carney a lot. I think he's a very good person. And we had a very good talk yesterday." This is the same Trump who had been threatening Canada with punitive tariffs and suggesting it should become the 51st state. But Carney's move is far more sophisticated than it appears. The meeting between Prime Minister Carney and Ontario Premier Doug Ford in Ottawa revealed the depth of Canada's strategy, with both leaders focusing on protecting key industries like steel and auto manufacturing. They discussed making Canada competitive in new sectors of the economy, including artificial intelligence, with Ford emphasizing the need for political unity across party lines. Notably, Canada's 25% tariffs on U.S. autos, steel, and aluminum will remain in place for now. Canada is keeping its leverage on the sectors that matter most to both economies while removing barriers on goods that are already protected under the existing trade deal. Here's what makes this brilliant. Carney said the commitment of the U.S. to the core of USMCA means that over 85% of Canada-U.S. trade continues to be free of tariffs. Canada is essentially calling Trump's bluff by aligning with the very trade deal that Trump himself negotiated during his first term. The timing is everything. The United States-Mexico-Canada Trade Pact, or USMCA, is up for review in 2026, and Carney called the pact a unique advantage for Canada at a time when it is clear that the U.S. is charging for access to its market. By positioning Canada as the compliant partner now, Carney is setting up for those crucial 2026 negotiations. But not everyone in Canada is happy with this move.